Hey everyone, welcome back to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast in between season content. Believe it or not, we recently wrapped up season 6, and we're doing something different this time in between seasons. Before we get into that though, please make sure you like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel here and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Now, if that platform lets you leave reviews, I don't know what I just said, reviews, please leave a review. Or comment either here on YouTube or on Spotify, because yes, we recently learned that Spotify has a feature that allows you to comment on podcasts right on their platform. Doing stuff like this helps us get discovered by other fans like you. Speaking of fans, next up we have Dr. Jim Thorne, fan of the show, who we met at Balticon. Was it Balticon
Yes.
a couple years ago? Yes. And that was awesome. And so we've been getting to know each other since. And I guess the first getting to know you question for just everybody now is tell us about your top 3-ish sci-fi fandoms.
Well, as I like to say, may the force live long and prosper, so say we all. That kind of gets all three of them in there. Trek and Star Wars and Battlestar, absolutely.
Nice.
Original Battlestar or Battlestar, new
Ouch.
Battlestar, or both?
Oh, both. I love them both. The first one was just so campy, and the second one was very thought-provoking. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the first one. I know I've seen it, but I did watch the second one, and I know we've spoken a few times to somebody that due for a rewatch of the second one, especially when my older.
I agree.
Kid.
I need to find it. I haven't watched it, but I need to find it somewhere. I don't know where to look. Need help.
Well, I tell you too, I love that you like Star Wars and Star Trek because they can exist in the same universe peacefully, folks.
Yes.
Can do this.
They can coexist.
We can do this and enjoy both.
Yes, once a year, I volunteer at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum and work with a lot of kids. I write songs to teach kids about space science and history, but once a year, the weekend of Halloween, they have Air and Scare, and the families bring their kids in costume, and there's a lot of Star Wars cosplay. So I'll stand there with R2-D2 and do this, and they say, "Oh, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, Trek was first. Deal."
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, your namesake is in the background of Brian, and I just thought I'd bring him along on my glass as well. Jim.
So if you're doing that at the Smithsonian, does that mean you're cosplaying and dressing up as favorite characters?
I have not done that there. I generally dress up in the same stuff I use to do the story time programs for the children, about pre-K through third grade usually. But since you're asking, I have dressed up in the past. Back in the ancient time of 1991, I dressed up in a Star Trek Next Generation costume that was custom made by my then mother-in-law out of the full wool gabardine. Looked beautiful, and I looked like Riker, at least I was trying to. And I was in Los Angeles. I got to meet my boyhood hero, Jimmy Doohan, and tell him that I am an astronautical engineer in part because of his portrayal. And he beamed at me and said, I love it when people tell me that. So then I got caught in the hallway by some Paramount production people who I guess liked the uniform. And then when I told them I'm an astronautical engineer and I work with NASA on projects, because I wasn't living in my mother's basement and had a real job, I guess they decided to I'm kidding. They had me put on or do a little interview for them. And that's how I have an IMDb credit on NBC for the Star Trek, the 25th anniversary special, if you want to look it up.
Ooh,
nice.
Wow. For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's awesome.
Great.
There's a few interesting things about saying that. So one, I also met Jimmy Doohan around the same time period, but I'm a little younger. I was in high school. And so I told him that I was planning to go into the aerospace industry, not that I had yet. But in that time frame, I struggled to meet people. And again, this was as everyone knows, this is pre-internet days, pre any of this. So it's harder to meet people out of your circles, your family and your and everything. And so I struggled to meet people who were Star Trek and science fiction fans who then were in the industry. And that, a lot of people that I would go to conventions and I would meet people, they weren't in the industry. And I was shocked because I'm like, how is everyone not motivated by this? It was very, very, now I know a lot. I know a lot of people. I found all the people that are,
Oh.
but yeah. So
At
it's
that same
great that you're
convention,
able
I
to say
got to
that.
meet, I'm sorry, I got to meet Gene Roddenberry too, which to me was a
Oh,
real
wow.
peak of the whole thing. And I met all the original cast except for William Shatner.
You still have time. He's still around.
Why
Oh,
not?
that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
I met in Shatner was just in my hometown here, Hartville, Ohio, selling off his clothing items. And I got to represent the big sci-fi. Stay tuned for an episode soon, guys, of
Cool.
talking about that auction. But yeah.
Well, I've been listening to Bill do an audiobook of one of his Captain Kirk Returns novels from way back.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm recording my own audiobook version with my own voice of the novel that I just released this year called Journey to Antares. And I found that my voice was so relaxed, it was putting me to sleep when I was editing. So I decided to listen to the master and turn up Ham to 11 and see, if I can do a little more acting on the audiobook.
Gotcha. Cool.
Well, I'm impressed about your association with the National Aeronautic and the National Air and Space Museum. I've been there once in 2009, and remember going into the bookstore and seeing the Enterprise hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's in a better place. So
yeah,
I'm hoping to get back to Washington again, because I do want to see all the major changes. I subscribe to Air and Space magazine, so I've been following all the stories about what they're doing to make that place even more spectacular.
What happened was a year or so ago, maybe two, Jeff Bezos of Amazon dropped 200 mil on the Air and Space Museum. And that was more money than they were expecting, which is a good problem to have. But it means that there's more work going on, especially in the downtown mall location, as they call it.
Yes, that's the one.
Right. So it's going to take longer, but that's because they're going to do more cool stuff. And they're going to build a new education center at one end of it. And they want to use some of my songs and material for outreach to the kids. Yeah, including a song I wrote about Europa. When I was with NASA at Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, I was working trajectory design to go to Jupiter and explore a moon called Europa. And that's partly what I'm doing here in the space conference I'm attending.
So Europa Clipper, which is an upcoming mission, is that the mission? Or
that's exactly the mission. And the head of that mission, the system design, is a buddy of mine, and he likes my song, Mission to Europa. So if you go to YouTube, forgive me for plugging, but if you go
please do.
And put Jim Thorne, you will find a slideshow video I created for my television show, which was called Space Quest with Dr. Jim. That's public access and got rebroadcast all over the country. But I made these slideshow videos as part of the television show. So go look it up on YouTube if you want to take a mission with my heroes that are the same characters as in my book when they drop a submarine into the ice of Europa to look for life. And a friend of mine animated this for the Sky Show at a planetarium where I live, and she made the submarine robot yellow. And I never thought of that when I was doing.
That's awesome.
We all live in a yellow submarine. Okay.
Yes, right. Exactly.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Wow. So, this is beyond just talking about science fiction movies. We have science facts right here. This is great.
Yes. If for a little technical cred, if you want another fact check that you want to do on me, you can look up Thorne's solution of the Lambert problem. It is an initial orbit determination problem that goes back hundreds of years. And as a grad student, without knowing that there wasn't supposed to be a solution explicitly, I found one, and they named it after me, and it's in textbooks. And that's, again, part of what I do with the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. No, I was not intending to do that, but I tried stuff until it worked, and then there you are.
That's what Einstein, I think it was Einstein who said, or the quote is attributed to him. It's not that you're looking for Eureka. No, it's Asimov that said it. It's you're looking for like, that's funny.
Yes, I loved Asimov. Yes, yes.
we've been going on about this and we still haven't. Is there any other science fiction questions?
That's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Chris,
why don't
anything
you
from
ask
you,
a
sir?
question?
I was going to ask where people can find your book, because you mentioned Jeff Bezos. So I'm assuming Amazon, perhaps.
It is. It's on Amazon. It's called Journey to Antares, which is a real star.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine who's an astronomer and an oil painter did the cover. It's beautiful. It's got a science glossary in the back. There are certain words that are in bold so that it can be used hopefully for homeschool. I was really trying to make it an educational thing. It's a young adult space adventure novel, not a children's book, although it is based on the scripts I wrote for my television series. And yeah, you can find it on Amazon and hopefully by the end of the year or so on Audible as well.
Oh
Nice.
my, that's
Very
great.
good.
That's excellent.
So I'll just ask this quick question. How did you learn? Did you learn about our podcast through Adina, or just how did you find out about it?
Oh, definitely through I learned about it through Adina. She was very kind and has kept in contact with me in various ways. And I asked if I could at some point, sit in. I've done some other podcasts
Mhm.
in where I live with a local radio TV station, but that's how I did it, and I really appreciate the support. Thank you, Adina.
Is
Oh,
it,
you're
is this
welcome.
his audition tape, Adina?
Well, we will
Maybe.
definitely have you back on the podcast, Dr. Thorne, to
Yeah.
talk about any of those. We haven't done a Star Wars podcast in a while, my friends.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
we
we
haven't.
need
Yeah.
to have him on to talk about Star Wars with us.
Mhm.
I would love to. If I may say one quick thing,
Yes,
I've
please.
performed now in schools, at the museum, libraries, planetariums. I keep careful track for over 10,000 elementary students,
Wow.
and I do
Wow.
a question and answer thing for school assemblies. The single question that I get more than any other is, Dr. Jim, are aliens real? And since they asked me that, I'm mentioning this because that's why I wrote the book that I did about. It's the first contact story in the future. And what I tell the kids is, we don't know, but we're listening. And so I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that was the motivation
Mhm.
for it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on to our in between season content. This has been interesting. And
Fantastic.
Steve, when you get out this way, we'll do something.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
go to the museums and we'll
Yeah.
time it when. And
Hey,
I've
I'll come up.
seen,
I'll come up too. I'll come over.
yes,
I'll-
yes, because you're
Yep.
a fairly easy drive away. We'll
Washington's
absolutely do
about
this.
5 hours away, so
Wow.
Great.
Mhm.
And to our viewers and listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, like, subscribe, share, do all those things that you got to do to help folks like us. We appreciate you so much. And stay tuned for the next fan that we talk to for our in between season content. Have a great day.